everyone. Happy, what day is it? Tuesday? Happy Tuesday. I'm like so on vacation mode. I forgot what day it is. We are going to talk about the crazy new NFL free agency stuff that's been going on. My name is Ashmar Prasad. If you're new here, welcome to Team NBS Media. And I'm here with the squad. Hey everyone. I thought I was clicking the buttons. Clearly I'm off since we've done the Super Bowl show. I feel like I'm picking up as we left off here. How is everyone doing today?
Good.
Doing very well.
Vacation? What's a vacation?
I know.
Yeah.
I had to take one.
I'm with you, Ash. I'm on mine too.
I don't understand. You two both need to go and scout 25 players for us for the draft, and you get it done by tomorrow. Come on.
You know what? Next year I'll go to the combine and I'll help you out. Okay, I will do that. And
that's what my vacation was doing, was covering the combine. So there was no vacation.
Good job too, brother.
I appreciate it.
How was it?
Well, remotely it was great. I wish I would have been there in person, but Bill had that honor of being there, and he said it was great. It was, honestly, I've never seen a group of guys this fast at all different positions. Usually you get fast running backs, fast receivers, fast DBs, but I don't think there was a position that didn't test well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love to hear it. All right, like I said, we're going to talk about our free agency madness. I think everyone has been, yesterday I was reacting as a true surprised fan. I don't know if anybody expected the flip-flops to happen as they did. So first I want to start off, of course, in the QB space. I feel like we knew this market was going to be insane. We knew that there was going to be a lot of teams looking for different energy in the locker room, people to change the way that they were last year and maybe build off of what they had done the year before. So first, we're going to start off with, I think, the craziest of the two, which is Sam Darnold getting paid. He got paid. There's no other way to put it. And after coming off of a very strong season, we all talked about it here on Moving the Chains and on every Team NBS platform that we've got here. First reaction to Sam Darnold's contract. I'd love to hear it, Greg.
It was bound to happen. We said that he was going to get paid at the end of the season. Did he get the $110 million that Schefter said? No, he got $100 and a half. But he's got money in the bank now, and he has a chance to be the starter for Seattle. Good luck to him.
Did everyone expect him to get that much money? Because I know me and Jeff were like, it could teeter off based on how his playoff performance was. So, Jeff, I'll follow up since I brought you up.
Well, he got the going rate. This is the going rate for a starting quarterback in the NFL now. If you want one, you're going to have to pay for one. Now, he had a good year last year, despite the past. He had a very good year last year. Yes, they struggled in the playoff game, and they didn't go home early. But at the end of the day, he got them to the playoffs, a team that you thought was going to be basically a rebuild year with a rookie quarterback, and he would be the veteran backup. He was going to get beat out by a rookie. The rookie goes down in training camp with a knee injury. It becomes his team, and he takes the ball and runs with it. So kudos to him. Kudos to the Minnesota Vikings for realizing, hey, we drafted this young man. We believe he's the future. We're not going to pay him way too much money and keep the rookie. We're going to go with the rookie. We believe he'll be ready. He's going to be ready. But Sam Darnold went and got his money and got his job somewhere else. So you got to credit him for getting the job done last year and going to get paid this year. He got the bag. Now he's got to carry it.
All right. Well, Mark, what are your thoughts?
I'm with the money. I'm just not with the team.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand Seattle when you had other options out there. Steelers. But, maybe they didn't want them. Seattle, you traded or gave away your receivers. Who the hell is he throwing to?
That's literally my exact thoughts. He was so successful in Minnesota with one of the best wide receivers. All right, Thomas, what did you think about this signing for Mr. Sam Darnold?
I just thought it was so silly that like at the beginning there was reports about the Vikings are going to consider re-signing him. Sam Darnold is ours. I was like, okay, let's see how long this lasts. But sure. And a couple days go by, and then next thing you know, he's a Seahawk for $100 million. And it's like that report just went out the window for absolutely nothing. So it was one of those things that was just like, okay, we all had a feeling he was going to get his money. We didn't know how much he was going to get, but we knew he was going to get something because the market was, let's just say, not good. Especially when your starting market is at Sam Darnold out of all people. I don't care what year he had. Your QB market starts with Sam Darnold. It's not the greatest market in the world. So we knew he was going to get his money. We didn't know how it was going to factor as far as what teams he was going to go to. We all understood that. I'm with Mark, though. I feel like it was a better fit for the Steelers to get him. But the fact that Seattle, which it seems like in the NFL, everybody's having their own version of the Seahawks. I feel like we have the Las Vegas Seahawks right now. I feel like we have the I feel like there's another team out there that feels a lot more like Seattle than their actual team. So we have some extra Seahawks teams in the NFL that no one knew about, and it's starting to show on full display. So thanks to Sam Darnold for making that happen. But I ain't shocked. It is what it is.
I think it's going to be difficult to see Sam be successful. Like, we all know the Seattle O-line is not the strongest, and we know how Sam Darnold is in those situations. Now he only has JSN to throw the ball to. It just feels like a really tough situation for him. It's almost making his life harder rather than getting a little bit of a pay cut with a team that you are successful with, or you could find success with again. I think the Steelers, if he went there, I don't know, would it be the same? We know the O-line problem exists among many teams. So,
yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
And I think the one thing we're looking at is we can say he chose there. We don't know what his other options were. Right? We didn't hear the full report of all the teams that he was talking to. So we don't know if Seattle was his only serious suitor at the money that he wanted. He may have had other suitors come in with way less. So, we only get the final result, which is where he's going. If we would have known every team that was interested in the offers, we could easily judge it by saying, he made a mistake going there. But we realistically don't know if that was the only real suitor, real situation that suited his needs. So I give him credit. He could have ended up in Indianapolis if you think about it, right? He's there. He's got to fight off Anthony Richardson. That's a different situation in itself. But I don't think that would be a situation he'd want to go to. I think it was a situation where he wanted to go somewhere where he knew he was going to be the guy, where he knew he was going to get his money. And it wasn't going to be anything about if I struggle a little bit, then this guy's going to come in and take the job from me, or they're going to pull me and start the young kid. No, it is his job in Seattle. Now, who he's throwing to, we'll find out, besides Jackson Smith and Jigba, besides Noah Fant. So he has a couple of guys, doesn't have a plethora of guys like he had before.
Yeah, the key word here being the plethora of options. Like, he's going into a brand new team, essentially, as Thomas said, the Las Vegas Seahawks. So,
well, hey, when Geno Smith was sent down to Las Vegas, I mean, there was the opening. Sam Darnold was their number one target. Pittsburgh was not in on Sam Darnold. Mm-hmm. They were not in for Darnold at all. That whole situation is just a total mess in Pittsburgh, but we can discuss that a little bit more when we discuss Mr. Fields. But again, teams address their needs in free agency, and then they draft guys that they need. Let the Seahawks draft some receivers and see what happens, folks. That's all there is to this.
I mean, is that the success?
Here's my only. I was about to say here's my only issue when it comes to Seattle. You brought it up yourself, Ashmere. That offensive line is not the Philadelphia Eagles. It is not the Detroit Lions. So they probably need to bring a little bit of TLC to that side of things on offense, because you can get this wide receiver class is loaded. So you can get somebody in the third, fourth round to to be in the slot or be on the outside with JSN if you really wanted to. So you don't necessarily need to have to spend your top draft capital on your wide receivers. But if you do not address the offensive line that was not the greatest when Geno was at quarterback, the offensive line that wasn't the greatest towards the end of Russell Wilson's tenure that everybody forgets that existed, so on and so forth, then you're going to have Sam Darnold seeing ghosts again. And I just don't want that happening for him. I really don't. So I hope that in the draft, they're able to spend their draft capital wisely on the offensive line. I'm not too sure, because that's the problem with Seattle. They don't have like one or two great guys. It's like, we got somebody to work with, and then we just need to plug and play. No, they need help. So hopefully they'll take care of that in the draft. Hopefully in the first 2 picks, if a 3, if at most, and then you can go after a receiver or a running back if you're not sure about Kenneth Walker and things of that nature. But yeah, they gotta address that first.
Yeah, but every team has that same issue, Thomas, except for the Eagles and the Lions. You all need to address your defensive and offensive lines in the NFL. That's where the games are won and lost. And every team out there, the Kansas City Chiefs, I mean, they traded away Joe Tooney, and the other fella that they got rid of already. They were in the Super Bowl, but boy, they got holes to fill. So that's why this whole process happens.
I think it's going to be a problem for many years. The offensive line will always be the hardest hit, and so that will be the biggest difficulty. Yeah. So we could speak on that for any of these teams that made a trade. So we'll move on to Justin Fields, because we're speaking of Seattle and the Steelers. We might as well move to the other side. For Justin Fields, I think we can all agree that this was a great option because he got paid, and that's essentially what I think he was looking for, and the opportunity to be that guy. And last year on Moving the Chains, I was one of the people that was upset he wasn't starting, and now he gets that opportunity. So how do you think
this
looks here, Greg?
I was on the show with you, and I said the same thing. Justin Fields needs to be the Steelers quarterback. That's the bottom line of all this. Why Russell Wilson was brought in is beyond me. And Justin Fields deserves to be a starting quarterback. It's a shame that he has to play at MetLife Stadium. I hope that his knees hold out, because others, of course, have gone down there. But at least Justin Fields is now going to be the starting quarterback for an NFL team. He's got very good weapons. He joins back with Garrett Wilson from Ohio State. They're back together again. We'll see what happens with Justin Fields, I mean.
Yeah, it could be the combo. Justin Wilson, why not?
Justin Wilson, yeah. Well, they're a combo. Yeah, that's what it is.
They could be the new dual threat here, which I would love to see. I mean, I've been rooting for Fields since the beginning of time. We all have any Chicago Bears QB. I think we're all rooting for them at all times. Yeah. So, Thomas, what were your thoughts?
Are you sure about that?
Okay, not for real rooting for them. You know what I mean? Like, just
okay.
It's a franchise to be a part of. It's a tough franchise.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Because I'm pretty sure when they decided that it was a great idea to draft Mitchell Trubisky out of all people second overall, I think absolutely no one wanted that to happen. So outside of him, everyone else, we're good. Mitchell Trubisky, not so much. Justin Fields as a New York Jet, saying that with a straight face already sounds bad. I just don't know in what capacity. And the only reason why I am giving very much caution to this move is because, in fairness to the Jets, unlike seasons past where they get like a guy at a need in a certain position, and they just, for whatever reason, they just forget about the rest of the roster. Like the rest of the roster don't exist. Like they need a full 53-man roster to play football. They actually took the time out to predicate money on the offensive line and address the offensive line. They got Patrick McCarry, if I'm not mistaken, for like $37 million for 3 years, which I thought was a little rich, but hey, it is what it is. At least they addressed the offensive line. So outside of them getting Fields, I do like the fact that they did decide to take the time out to help out the offensive line. It's the Jets. And if there's one thing I know about these franchises that are incapable of getting it right when it comes to their rosters, I am not ruling anything out. When they decided to get Aaron Rodgers and the whole Aaron Rodgers thing happened, I was like, okay, y'all do know that this is the New York Jets. And what happened the first year? Unfortunately, torn Achilles. What happened the second year? Ayahuasca. So, I mean, I don't know what else there is when it comes to the New York Jets anymore. But that is a good signing by Fields. I don't know if this is good for Fields, though. But 2 years, $40 million. We'll see how it all pans out.
What are your thoughts, Mark?
Oh, man. My issue is the media.
Sure.
This is not the media where you want to experiment with a quarterback as young as Fields, who has went through shit with the Steelers, went through shit with what's the other team? The Bears.
Mm-hmm.
So now you put him in New York media.
Chicago.
If he fuck up one time, he's going to get crucified. Can he handle that? It ain't about handling the defense. Can you handle this media? Because they can break you. So we about to see what Fields is about. My other issue is we keep giving him a pass. Oh, I can't wait to see what he's about this. Like, dude, he's been in the league like 3-4 years. We know what he's about. Let's be honest. We know what he's about. He's like Michael Vick. Like, we know what he's about. He's a running quarterback. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's Michael Vick. I mean, you know, you want to do 3rd and 2, get the ball to Fields. You want to do 3rd and long, don't give the ball to Fields. At the end of the day, all he has is Garrett Wilson. Who else does he have to throw the ball to besides Garrett Wilson?
Mm-hmm.
You double Garrett Wilson, all he can do is tuck and run now. We back at the Fields of Chicago, back at the Fields of Pittsburgh. We back there again. But like you said, 2 years, 20 million, 40 million? Or was it 20 million?
Mm-hmm.
40.
How much was it?
40 million total, yeah.
Yeah, that's the given rate for a quarterback. So he didn't get overpaid. They didn't overpay him,
right?
Which was smart. And it's only 2 years, so he got 1 year to prove himself. In New York, will kick you the fuck out.
Jeff?
Well, I'll say this. It's going to come down to the organization.
True.
You have to have patience with a quarterback, and something the Jets have not had, right? They didn't have patience with Zach Wilson. They didn't have patience with Sam Darnold. They didn't have patience with Geno Smith. They haven't had patience with all these guys that went on to go somewhere else and do something, except for Wilson, who's still trying to figure out where to land and do something with himself. But for the most part, the guys that they've jettisoned have found careers elsewhere. Can they get Justin Fields and do something with him? Okay, you brought in Aaron Rodgers. You gave Aaron everything he wanted. I think the one thing they could have done to salvage Aaron Rodgers was to at some point tell him no. And they didn't do that. They let him run him off a cliff. So now you've got a whole new GM again. You got a whole new head coach and new staff all over again. Bring in the young quarterback and say, we're going to bring you along. We're going to get you some more options. You have a great option in Wilson. You have a great running game to go along with it. A young offensive line that's going to grow with you. I think there's a lot of things going on with the Jets that if this new administration comes in with a plan, okay, right now you're on a 2-year plan because you only have him for 2 years. So right now you're on a 2-year plan, right, to try and get him on pace to be your long-term quarterback. If you can't get him on pace to be a long-term quarterback in 2 years, then guess what? You have to have another plan in action ready to go when it's time to move on from him. So you have a 2-year plan to get this on pace. So I think they did a smart move. It's not a long-term deal. It's something that's It's real short, easy to get out of, right? But the main thing is you still got to support him. You just can't let him go out there and sink or swim. That's what teams have been doing to him. That's why he hasn't improved.
Yeah.
So
and Zach Wilson is now a Miami Dolphin. He's going to lead the Dolphins to the title. He's going to lead them to a Tagovailoa. He's going to go down. And that's it.
You've got
look out.
to be kidding me.
No, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding you, Thomas. He's now a Miami Dolphin. Hi, Coach Rick. Hi, Coach Rick. He's a Dolphin.
Yep, true indeed.
Absolutely.
Guys who are watching this, he is not being serious right now.
He did it. Yo, he's awesome.
He's not. I promise you.
Greg bullshit with that one. Yeah.
Of course I am. For crying out loud.
Yeah. Okay. But I do want to say this as far as the Jets is concerned. I think I feel like I can't have a conversation about the Jets without like laughing. Like I can't have a conversation about the Jets without, having a straight face. I just can't. This is a franchise that has historically, since before I was even thought of, to me growing up, to me being a man today, has been incompetent. They don't know what it's like to stick to a plan. It's like the moment they see some fire, they're like, they don't even want to put it out, even though they have the fire extinguisher. It's ridiculous. So it's like, when it comes to talking about the New York Jets and Justin Fields, I know, Mark, you mentioned the media being a question mark. I will say the greatest component that Justin Fields had was last year when he started the season being a starting quarterback for the Steelers. They were 4-2. They were winning. They were being totally fine. And then out of nowhere, they just said, hey, we're going to go to Russell Wilson. Have fun. You're going to enjoy the bench for a little bit. And they just did not go back to him. And I thought the way that he handled that situation was perfect. You didn't hear a word, which I know was hard for him to do. But he didn't say a word. He didn't complain. He didn't whine. He didn't do nothing. Didn't cause any ruckus. Even when the season was starting to go down the toilet, he was still saying, hey, I have a lot to learn from him and things of that nature. So, I mean, in fairness to Fields, he does know how to handle adverse situations similar to that. But on a week-to-week basis, where especially in division that has Josh Allen, in division that everybody, I'm pretty sure, some way, somehow still loves in the Miami Dolphins, and the New England Patriots that at the very least have Drake May, it's going to be interesting to see how that fares, because I thought the way that he went about everything in Pittsburgh was professional, but I know it wasn't easy. So who's to say what's going to happen when he has to deal with the limelight of being in MetLife Stadium and having to worry about injury after injury, because that's unfortunately bound to happen because they won't get their fields together. No pun intended, of course.
And as Jeff and I are very often quoted as saying, it's called just end the season. That's what the Jets have been. So there you go.
Well, the season is over.
Yeah.
We're getting a new start. I agree with everyone here. I think it's hard for Justin Fields to have to keep restarting the wheel in these completely different places, right? First, you're the franchise guy, then you're not, then you're replacing Russell Wilson, then you're not. Russell Wilson outshines you for a little bit, and then people are talking about you again. So I think for him to be successful, I mean, it's everything you guys said: avoid injury, just utilize the team that he has, and figure out how to stay out of the media. I think that was a very good point, Mark, because it's bad out there in New York.
Jeff, no.
Thank you, Giants.
It is unforgiving,
Yeah.
If you want to be known by the New York media in the worst way, just don't play well, or be worse, be a jerk about it. They really love it when you're a jerk. You're on the back page of every newspaper in town.
That's right.
I know Justin Fields don't want that. All right. We're going to go on to the wide receiver changes because DK Metcalf said he was ready to get out of Seattle, which now seems silly because he has a better, different quarterback. I don't know about better. I'll take that back. And we knew Devontae Adams was not going to stay in New York, and he has how much more time in him? 2 more years? And I think joining the Rams for him is spectacular. I feel like Cooper Kupp says he wants to get out. Devontae said, let me replace you. I got this. So want to hear you guys' thoughts just on Devontae Adams' past, year overall. He gets in the Raiders, getting literally hospital balled week in and week out. Then he gets to go join his friend in New York. It doesn't work out at all. And now he gets to come to LA. So want to hear your thoughts. Mark, I'll start with you.
Devontae, you couldn't find a better place. You losing Cooper Kupp, you got to upgrade with Adams. Kupp is good, but you're no Devontae Adams. I still don't know why you're cutting Kupp, and that shit is mind-boggling to me. But Adams and Stafford, like, who are you going to double? Like,
right.
Like you can double Nakua and be like, you know what, Kupp is not what it used to be. You can't double Nakua and bet on Adams dropping the ball. You can't do that.
Right.
Adams ain't dropping shit. I think this was one of the best pickups of free agency that no one's talking about. And as a team that almost beat my Eagles, I'm scared of the damn Rams. I'm scared of them now. Like, I don't want to play them. Not at all. I don't want to play them boys. No, I'm good. I just forfeit that game.
We have 2 Eagles fans on here. This should be illegal.
It should be.
We're talking free agencies, the bottom of the barrel teams trying to make it, and we have 2 Super Bowl champs here. Somebody should have talked to me before we did this.
You know it's Jeff's fault. I'm blaming Jeff.
I'm used to it.
Oh, man.
4th child out of 5, so I got it a lot.
Nah, I just want to say, when I saw that Devontae Adams was a Ram, you want to know the first thing that came to my mind? I felt like a parent. Like, I felt like this was a prime example for those of you who are parents or have parents. When you were kids, you had moments where you did something you had no business doing. And after it happened, your parents would always use the phrase, that's what you get. And I felt like when Devontae Adams signed with the Rams, the first thing that came to my mind was, that's what you get. That's what happens when you decide to leave a competent organization in the Green Bay Packers because you wanted more money. You go to a team that's desperate enough to give you more money. Next thing you know, you are getting killed every single week because the quarterback don't know how to throw it in the right spot for you to get the ball. Then you say, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm going to go out of all teams. I'm gonna request a trade in the middle of the season, and out of all the teams that's available to me, I could have went to the Ravens. I could have went to the Bills. I could have went to Kansas City. I mean, I know they don't trade in division, but at least that option was there. It was like it felt like Max Kellerman all over again. It was like death beams on us. Who do I want taking the shot? I want Aaron Rodgers. I was like, what? What is going on right now? So he ends up in the Jets. They end up having the worst season in the world. And the next thing you know, we're like, oh, well, I guess Devontae is going to be in limbo again. No. Let the right organization who is competent enough to figure you out, to keep you in place the way that they're supposed to, let them be your team. And don't ask for anything else. Stay right there. Don't move. Because if anything from last year hasn't shown you a thing, it is that is what you get. So, that's my thoughts on Devontae being a Ram. Stay right there, because it ain't a whole lot of better situations like it. I ain't gonna lie.
I think Baltimore was a good option. Like you were saying.
He had them last year, and he decided that he wanted Iguodala as his quarterback. So once he decided that Iguodala was his quarterback, that was it. I knew he wasn't in the right frame of mind. I knew he wasn't.
I got a warning for you here, Thomas, because you know who the backup quarterback is in Los Angeles? Jimmy G, who Devontae
I was going to say, they're literally back
Jimmy
together.
G. Oh, Lord. Devontae Adams, you have better hope that Matthew Stafford stays real healthy.
Hell yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Oh my God, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, they didn't even. He didn't even shop around. He knew he'd get re-signed in LA, and we all know Jimmy G loves LA. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it's tough.
Sheesh, Jimmy
Jeff,
G again.
what are your thoughts on Devontae's entire NFL year that he's had so far?
Well, if anybody needs some stability right now, it's Devontae Adams, right? He was still considered one of the top 5 receivers going into last year. And you didn't get that from him. You didn't get it when he was out there in Vegas. And you definitely didn't get it from him with the Jets, which were just a dumpster fire of an organization last year, the way things are going. Now, he's in a better situation. We know he's with a head coach that's going to know how to use him. He's got a veteran quarterback who finds people no matter who they are. You've got young, even if Cooper Kupp leaves, you've got Puka Nacua, and you've got a bunch of other young talent there. So there's going to be a bunch of guys that are going to help him out with the Rams, and I think that's the best situation for him. Now, he's got to go there with a whole new state of mind. He can't go in there going, I'm Devontae Adams, we're going to do this. He's got to come in there ready to work because they're not going to sit there and cater to him. They're not going to force balls to him. They're going to find and go through the system and find the process. They'll create matchups, but they're not going to force it to you. And that's what he's got to understand. There's not going to be any more that force it to me, we win or else. No, these guys are going to win 11-on-11 football. So that's where Adams has got to come in there with a brand new mindset. This can't be about, I'm Devontae Adams, I'm supposed to have 100 catches. No, you've got to come in there and play Sean McVay's way.
Yeah,
I agree. Good point there, Jeff.
I think he's looking for that. When you go from Vegas to New York,
I hope so.
That sounds crazy.
He better be.
So.
Yeah. That sounds crazy when you think about how unknown those two franchises are. All right, we'll roll on to DK. DK said, get me out of Seattle. Seattle said, let me bring in Sam Darnold. And now DK is in an entirely new, fun franchise. And
Lord have mercy.
Right.
Lord have mercy.
Oops, sorry.
Sorry, Ash.
That's okay. You go first. You go first. Let me know your thoughts.
I'm just sitting here, and I'm pretty sure we all are. We're just picturing this. We're just trying to picture what's going to happen when the ball is hyped. Lord. One thing, they don't have a quarterback. Like you got receivers, but don't have a quarterback. Normally it's the other way around. You got a quarterback with no receivers. All right. That's where they go with Russ. Because him and Metcalf have history. Oh, that's not going to work. And God forbid there is a fight on this field. Now, but at the same time, I know we dog out Tomlin a lot. If there's anybody who can get the best out of DK, is Mike. I hope.
That's true.
I hope. Because
That's true.
On the field, these two receivers can do damage to a defense. They can hurt the defense. The problem is, are they going to hurt themselves before they hurt the defense? That's my only issue. I like the signing, but I want to know, are they both going to be team players? Because we know Pickens has an issue with being a team player at times. Metcalf just has an issue with keeping his head on his shoulders. But if they can harness that and find a good quarterback, they're going to, oh shit, they only got no running back no more. Oh my God.
No. I was literally about to say, Najee's gone.
Well, they do have Carson, right?
Carson and Warren.
Tyler Warren. I'll get the last name mixed up.
But here's the situation. Devontae Adams goes to the Rams. Puka Nacua gives up his 17. Devontae Adams is going to wear number 17. George Pickens wears number 14 in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
And what number does DK Metcalf wear?
14.
14.
Good point, Greg.
Now, normally a younger player gives up the sweater for the more veteran player. George Pickens is not about to do this. I mean, he wants his number, and that's it. He wants all the attention and all that other jazz. And I'm sorry, but it's Aaron Rodgers' time in Pittsburgh. It's sounding like.
Stop.
I'm serious.
Stop.
No, I'm very serious, Thomas.
Stop it.
They are talking about Aaron Rodgers.
Thomas, he's serious.
I'm
Oh, I
serious.
know how
Now,
serious he
Thomas,
is.
that
That's
one
why
he
he
is
need to
serious.
stop.
Oh my God, not again.
He need to
You have to
stop.
pick Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson.
I'm picking Rodgers. Real shit.
You take Rodgers, but that's like, hey, do you want spoiled milk or do you want mess on the floor for you to clean up?
No,
Like,
moldy,
which one you want?
moldy milk. You're trying to get even worse. Okay,
Ooh, not
Rodgers
moldy
not better
milk.
than you.
Moldy
Not
milk? Are
moldy
you
milk.
kidding me? That's the problem, and that's why the Steel. See, that's the. You know what, Ashmere? You're laughing, but that's how the Steelers front office is. They're like, they are so caught up with being. You know what? I have no problem being complacent. Let's go over above 500. Let's meet the status quo of Mike Tomlin. Let's go above 500, and let's do nothing else. Okay. So if that means we have to have moldy at quarterback, then that's what we'll do. As long as we meet the status quo. The status quo is to make sure that Mike Tomlin gets above 500. That's the rule. Like they don't want to do anything crazy. They're not really trying to this is
But
crazy.
you know what though? We have not heard nothing about Wilson this whole offseason.
No,
That's
nothing.
There is one place who's now been talking about Russell Wilson, and that is Minnesota, since Daniel Jones went to Indianapolis. I mean, so now there's talk of Russell Wilson going to Minnesota, but if that happens, who knows?
You know what? I'm so glad I got a quarterback.
Say that again.
I'm telling you, it should be illegal. You both are on here, okay?
Oh, damn. There goes Steve. Oh, shit. The show's going downhill from now, Jeff.
No way. There's no way that that's a reality.
But I, in all seriousness, though, okay, no, I can't even look at this seriously. The fact that Pickens and DK Metcalf are your two wide receivers, 1A and 1B, I feel like before the season starts, they've already had a boxing match determining who was going to get number 14. And I feel like they're going to have another boxing match in the preseason to determine who's going to get the ball more. And I feel like someone in the middle of a game is going to attack a fan. I feel like at some point, somebody's going to mess around and attack a coach. I just feel like these two guys on the same team at the same time with the egos that they have, and I don't care what anybody says, DK Metcalf, as nice as he is, please don't hit me, don't attack me. I know that you're a nice guy, okay? But on that field, you are a menace, Dennis the Menace to society, okay? I understand that. I know that. I get that. So you pair that with Pickens, and then they both going to get mad because who's going to throw him the ball? Oh, man, it's going to be a sad state of affairs in Pittsburgh, buddy. Talking about Steel City, they're going to need all the steel to keep them away from each other.
We kind of lost you at the end, but I got what you're saying.
Oops.
It's okay. I think this is a tough place. I think what you're saying is good, right? Correct, Thomas. DK is known to be a nice, humble guy, hardworking, but he is scary to defend on the field. I think this will be better for him. I feel like it's a weird situation. I'm not even gonna lie. I was not expecting to wake up and see DK Metcalf leaving to an organization that's kind of doing the same thing as Seattle. They're doing just enough, right? Like nothing. This isn't gonna all of a sudden lead him to the playoffs or a Super Bowl unless they bring in an entirely new quarterback and a running back.
But at the same time as they needed a second receiver. We knew that all season long last year. They needed a second receiver. And they got him.
Yeah.
Now they need a first quarterback. Like,
Yes. Not wanting to.
It's going to be fun. I'm glad they're not my damn team, but it's going to be fun to watch.
Say that again.
It feels like the pot is very thick in the NFL right now. All these signings, we're all just seeing if the ingredients are going to mix or if they're going to boil over and everyone's going to get fined and people are going to get ejected. And it's
But I
going to
love it
be
because it's
different
like there's no
season.
super team. I love
Yeah.
it because it's spread out.
By design, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
exactly.
love
But
it.
you also have Kirk Cousins, who could still get released by the Falcons,
Oh,
and
shit.
guess what?
You can go to Pittsburgh.
Could be
He's
Steelers
still in the
quarterback.
No, guys.
We don't know. We don't know who's
No.
going to end up where. We don't know this, though.
No.
And we still don't know about the draft. We still don't know about the draft. The draft
Yes.
hasn't even happened
That's
yet.
right. Yep.
We have no idea what can happen. Shador Sanders can end up in Pittsburgh. That would be dope.
That would be crazy.
Who? You said who, Mark?
Shador.
Sanders. I told Mark draft with him dropping to 21. I was like, is that possible? Then I looked at the
It's
team. I was
possible.
like, hell yeah,
It's
that's
possible.
Y'all think so? Y'all really do
Yes.
think so? He gonna drop that low?
Listen, it's possible. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it is
Uh-huh.
possible.
Wow.
The reason being, and we heard the reports that came out with certain teams, and they felt he's too arrogant. And I said it on our show, Draft Central, which airs 9:15 on Wednesday nights here on Team NBS Media. We were talking about quarterbacks, and we talked about the situation with Shador. Okay, there was a disconnect with front offices and certain prospects, particularly black prospects, because they are not used to certain attitudes of black young men. A white athlete can go in there and be arrogant, and they will see it as cockiness that they like. Baker Mayfield for being one, right? But when it's a black quarterback or a black wide receiver, it could be seen as arrogance, and it's a put off. Des Bryant was one of those guys. So it happens all the time. And this is why you need more culture in your front offices who are doing the evaluating, because then they can relate to the people that are coming into their interview room a lot easier, as opposed to relating to a certain kind of individual that I'm used to being around. So Shador Sanders, and you would think that a lot of these evaluators have never been around his father, who played in the NFL, a Hall of Famer, who's been a TV personality for the NFL. You would think they've never been around his father, okay? Because he's exactly like his father. All right. So once again, this is a case of a personality conflict with who the interviewer and the interviewee. It is not, that he is too arrogant. No, this is, they don't know how to handle his personality, but they can handle it from certain individuals, not him.
I got a quick question for you, Jeff.
Go for it.
How do you keep your hand up with that big ass ring? I think it's got to be like maybe my first or second time on the show, so I don't really get to see the ring as much. So as you're talking, I'm like, God damn, that ring big as hell. What is that?
This is the biggest one. This is the biggest one.
For?
This is the Hall of Fame one, the Minor League Football Hall of Fame. So
nice.
Yes. So this is the biggest one. When I got it, I didn't realize it was bigger than my actual championship. So when I got this, I had to get used to wearing it, because I feel like a Vulcan. I can't close my fingers. Okay.
Damn.
Live long and prosper, literally, because that's
congrats though. Really, congrats.
Wow.
Thank you.
That's awesome. That whole Shador thing, man. I didn't get it. I didn't get it. When the reports were coming out, I was like, y'all do understand who his dad is, right? Y'all like, this shouldn't be breaking news. Like, y'all do know his father is the Deion Sanders. Like, not just any Deion Sanders, just the Deion Sanders that people were actually wanting as head coach in the NFL. Like that Deion Sanders. Everybody forgot that was a thing. There was actually some people in Dallas, Texas that wanted Deion Sanders to be their head coach. That existed. Okay? That Deion Sanders. That's his dad. And by the way,
I was not one of those Cowboys fans calling for that, by the way.
Oh no, I understand, Greg.
Yo, Greg,
Greg was not one.
he was not one of those. Yes. But the point I'm making is that all the noise and all those reports that was going on about him threw me off, because people were making it seem like he didn't have a good year in college last year. Like he don't deserve to have have some of the, the confidence and some of the cockiness that comes with his play. He was playing with his first year in Colorado, played with an offensive line that was a bunch of turnstiles, and he was getting killed every single week. Everybody forgot that happened. No running game, no defense. Every game was a shootout. Everybody act like that wasn't a thing. Then this year, they actually got a little bit better on defense, a little bit better on the offensive line, and actually barely got a little bit of an upgrade on the running game. And it's like everybody's acting like, oh, he didn't really do anything crazy last year. It's like, guys, for him to be in the conversation for one of the top, 2 quarterbacks in the entire draft, that should stand for something. It has nothing to do with his name. He's actually had a very solid career run in college, and it should be able to translate to the NFL. We don't know if it does or not, but we do understand that Deion Sanders is his father. So anything about him being cocky or confident or whatever else, you can't say you didn't see it coming. You should be glad that his dad wasn't in on those interviews, because his interviews would have been taken over by Deion Sanders. So y'all should be grateful.
No,
that's what I'm saying.
You're also missing one good point. Let's say you go to Cleveland. He sucked a year in Cleveland. What's going to happen? The whispers are going to come that, hey, Deion wants to coach his son again. Now, as a GM, you're saying here, like, if I draft his kid, I might have to hire his dad a year or 2 down the line. I don't want to do that.
Why not?
Because it's Deion Sanders. Why would you want to hire 2 Sanders in your organization?
So what? You better get over it.
That's how they looking at it.
I know.
Deion Sanders is not coming to the NFL. He is a college coach. He loves recruiting these kids. He loves coaching the kids. He is not
his son.
It doesn't matter if it's his son. He's already coached his son.
Mm-hmm.
His job.
And you got a chance to coach him at the NFL as well?
His job is done. His job is done.
Yeah, he realizes that.
Yep.
At the collegiate level, you have a lot more control than
at the
NFL level.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things, when they talked about it before with him, he said, no, I don't want any of that smoke dealing with grown men with all that money at the NFL level. He's already said it. And he's right. Even if his son is there, you got to remember, your son is one dude out of 53 in that locker room.
True indeed.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of dudes in there paying their bills that don't want to hear about Shedeur Sanders. They want to hear about how we gonna win Sunday. So there's a different animal at the NFL level. He can go down there and be the great dad coach at the college level to these guys and be very well respected, and these kids will play hard for him. But at the NFL level, you can't go in there and do all of that. What he's doing there, it's a totally different kind of atmosphere, and he knows it. He's been in those locker rooms, And yes, you're right, Joe in the chat. He's saying Nick Saban is a
Saban of the NFL.
Nick Saban was an assistant there. Thought he can go there as a head coach. He's a different animal, So some things come with the dinner, And one of the things you got to do when you're dealing with grown men who got bills, they don't want to hear all that rah-rah stuff and all that stuff. You may give them that in a 5-minute speech before the game, but most of the week it's about getting their work done and getting what their personal business taken there. They don't want to hear any of that other stuff. They don't want you to put your arm around them talking about son. I ain't your son. Your son's over there. Okay, there's a different animal at the end of the level that he wants nothing to deal with. All right,
exactly.
Good point.
That's why I don't think Deion would ever become a coach in the NFL.
Yeah.
If there was any other people other than the people who run Florida State, Deion Sanders would be a Florida State Seminole head coach. That's the one other place I could see him going to, but that isn't happening because we know who runs Florida State.
The boosters.
Yeah.
Right.
The boosters who don't want somebody as vocal as Deion.
Bingo.
Program, which is why he has not been there.
Yep.
As right now.
Yep.
All right. We have to do a draft show another time, but I think we should talk about one guy who made a big fuss, since we're talking about fussy people, and then he just stayed where he was at. He just did what he was going to do, and that was sign a big fat check. So I'm curious, love it, hate it. What are your thoughts? I want to win. I want to be in the playoffs. I want a Super Bowl. Money doesn't matter. Never mind.
Well, when you're negotiating with things that you want, Jack Sparrow had the word of the day: leverage. Okay, all of that was nothing but leverage in trying to get a better deal out of Cleveland. I don't want to play here. Trade me. I want to trade me somewhere I can win. You guys aren't committed to winning, and all of a sudden, to come with the right offer, and all of a sudden is, I'm happy to be here. Okay, because plain and simple. The leverage was, you're going to lose your best player. All right, trade away your best player for what? Okay, if you're committed to winning, you make it work. And they made it work. They gave him what he wanted because, plain and simple, he is their best player. There is nobody in Cleveland better than Garrett right now. Nobody, bar none. There's not one player on that roster better than Garrett. So they knew if they're going to make a turn as a franchise, it starts with the defense. It starts with your freak defensive end that is just a game changer. Just like, Micah Parsons is a game changer in Dallas. He's a game changer in Cleveland. Okay, so as long as he is on the field, they are a better team no matter what. They needed him. Now they can try and fix the opposite side of the ball, with whether it's a quarterback, whether it's an offensive line change, whether it's more skilled players. Whatever it is they got to do to make Cleveland better, they're going to make sure that he's rushing the passer on their side of the ball.
Thomas took his glasses off, so he means business.
Thomas just mad his hand up in Philly. That's all that shit is.
I mean,
No. I do not care about that. I don't know who I'm mad at more. I don't know if I'm mad at the Cleveland Browns. I don't know if I'm mad at Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett, for 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks straight, went on a whole media scrum and said, hey, you know what? I don't want to be here. He even went as far as to come up with a whole press release that he posted on Instagram for the whole world to see. Hey, you know what? I enjoyed my time in Cleveland. I started my NFL career here, and I really enjoyed my time. Cleveland's a great city. It's a wonderful city. Wouldn't want to be anywhere else. But in short words, this team sucks. It's stuck with Deshaun Watson, and I want the hell up out of here. I want to win. I want to play with a contender. And money does not matter. Everybody kept asking him, well, what teams would you be interested in? Well, Philly ain't too bad of an option. That ain't too bad. Buffalo's pretty cool. That wouldn't be a bad idea either. All these teams and all these opportunities where he had no problem telling people that it was not about the money, that all he wanted to do was win, just for me to wake up the following morning and to see that he signed a 3-year, $163 million deal to re-sign. And then I'm mad at the Cleveland Browns because the Cleveland Browns supposed to be rebuilding. They're drafting second overall because their team sucks and they don't have anybody there. And you would have thought if you were going to trade Myles Garrett that you were going to get, 2 first rounds, maybe a second rounder, a third round, and maybe a fourth down the line. Whatever the trade package was going to be, it was not going to be small, and it was going to supplement your roster in plenty. And you decided that, you know what? Forget all that. Forget the fact that you even said that, you didn't want to be here. That's fine. You know what? I'll do something better. How about for you to shut up? I feel like this is all hush money. I feel like for you to shut up, I'm going to sit here and pay you top dollar, record-setting money, just for you to say you are Cleveland Brown for life. And himself, that was a great idea to say yes. So yes, I am pissed off on both fronts because none of it makes sense. And it's like everybody's time was wasted. Everybody's time was wasted. All that time it was like, where's Myles Garrett gonna go? Is he gonna go here? Is he gonna go there? Who's gonna pay him? Is it Washington? Is it Philly? Is it gonna be this team? Is it gonna be that team? Nah, I'll just sign a 3-year, $163 million extension. I'll stay. Cleveland Brown for life. What?
Thomas went on the Stephen A. Smith rant.
Thomas, if you get $123 million guaranteed, you sign in that contract, okay?
That's fine. That's fine. But don't tell people that you wanted to play for the contending team then.
That's how he got the $123 million.
You drive up your cost.
There's no way you get that money, without saying that.
And Andrew Barry got taken to the cleaners by a lady agent, Nicole Lynn. Hello, ladies. There you go.
Okay.
She took Andrew Barry to the cleaners because Jimmy Haslam did not meet with Myles Garrett. He refused to meet with him. So there you are. Nicole Lynn, bravo to you. You got Myles Garrett one. Hell of a good deal.
Wait,
there you are.
Let me
She's
get
been
this
taking
straight.
a lot of GMs to the woodshed recently.
Yes, she has.
Yeah.
You've been cooking up.
Well,
let me
why
get.
I mentioned Nicole Lynn because I'm tired of seeing Drew Rosenhaus's name everywhere. No,
Right.
enough.
Everyone snap for
Okay.
Greg here.
Okay, well done, Greg. So let me get this straight.
Okay, go.
This
Talk.
deal was constructed by Miss Lynn at the cleaners. Am I
The
hearing this
cleaners.
correctly?
Yeah.
Okay. And by the way, Ashmere, to your point about he wasn't going to get more money, all he had to say was this one sentence. Hello, my name is Myles Garrett. I want more money. Like, that's it. That's all he had to say. My name is Myles Garrett. This franchise is irrelevant without me. Pay me more money. If you don't, trade me. That's it. And that's all he had to tell everybody. But the fact that he wanted to say he wanted to play for a contender, now everything is just BS now. It's ridiculous. I can't take anything serious anymore. And now that I heard that Miss Lynn, I want to give all credence to Miss Lynn here. Miss Lynn is the reason why he got $163 million in the bank. Okay. I'm done. I'm done with the players. I'm done with the teams. This is my Meet the Grams moment. I want y'all to know that. I am done. This is ridiculous. It's insane. What was the point? All of our time wasted for what? For what?
Why are you
how
so
negotiations
why are you
work.
so upset
It's a
about
business.
a guy who plays for the Cleveland Browns gets his big money contract? Why are you so upset? It's the Browns.
It's just
They
a
still-
continuous cycle of draining one of the worst franchise, bringing them
Bingo.
down $1 at a time.
You know how much cash the Cleveland Browns has laid out
Yes.
this year? $317 million. That's well above the salary cap, kids. Do you guys not understand that bonus money and all that other jazz that goes out the table is the real cash that's spent on an NFL team? The Cleveland Browns are just a disaster.
Just don't tell me you want to play for a contending team. That's it. That's it. That's all I care about.
Because you and Mark were all excited that he was going to be a Philadelphia Eagle.
No.
Yes,
no.
Yes, you were.
No. That's
You
why
were
I
all
did not
excited
care
that
whether
he
he was going to be a Eagle or not.
Come.
I was about to say,
sure.
I was fine. Forget us. We just won a Super Bowl. That's just being too greedy.
Thank you.
But
We just won a Super Bowl. Y'all
You
deal with
know.
that shit.
But the whole idea of you saying you wanted to play for a contender and this is the end result, please. I don't want to hear that ever again. Literally, Ashmere, all you had to say was, my name is Myles Garrett. I want more money. Give it to me now or else. That's it.
I think that's like the selling point of players right now. I want to be on a contending team, and their team says, well, we'll pay you, right? It's like the golden ticket for them to make sure they're going to get paid.
Yep. It's no different. It's no different than what the Joneses do to players who are about to head to their contract. They always go out to the media in Dallas and say, this player didn't do this for us and didn't do that, blah, blah, blah. It's the same story for the players. So Myles Garrett won this one. Big deal.
I think this is the first time I could honestly say, I don't know, because usually I'm mad at the organization because I like to hold organizations accountable. This is the first time that I could honestly say I'm mad on both fronts because both of them wasted everybody's time. Everybody. And that's where I'm pissed off about. Everybody's time was wasted. Everybody's
But
breath
it's
was taken
Cleveland.
away. All of
It's
it done
Cleveland. You ever
for
been to Cleveland?
$163 million.
You ever been to
You ever
Cleveland?
I've been there.
Yeah. You go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You've seen everything you need to see, and then you leave. That's
Damn.
Cleveland.
Greg won't be welcome there anytime soon.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness.
They're gonna stop you at the border. I can see that
Hell
right
yeah.
now. No, sir, you are going back to Canada.
I couldn't help
That's fine with me. I've been to Cleveland twice, and that was enough.
I couldn't help myself, y'all. I'm sorry.
I know, man is sweating. All right, talking about sweat, let's get into this nice little switcheroo we've got here. We've got Josh Sweat heading out, Larry Tunsil heading to the Commanders. A lot of chatter has gone on for the Houston side, but let's talk about the Josh Sweat signing here. I'd love to hear pros and cons. You guys are happy about this? This is a good opportunity.
I'm extremely happy because
Yeah, you
Sweat's
are.
no longer with the Eagles. That's all I need to know. He's no longer an Eagle. That's fine by me. Good luck in Arizona. Mark, he just loves this. He just loves my response. Yeah.
I got nothing to say. That's it, Greg, yo.
Well, I'll jump in on this.
Yeah, please.
You know, by all means, listen. Kudos to the Cardinals for getting a pass rusher that they desperately needed, right? We saw him go in there and dismantle the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Okay. We knew he was one of those speed rushers that you could use in so many different ways. A high motor player that you're going to get your money's worth out of, right? When he came into the league, there was no doubting his pass rush ability. It was all about the size. Is he big enough? Can he hold up? We've seen that he can do that in his 2 stops now. He has been in Philadelphia. He's been a key player in their pass rush every year he's been there. Now he's going to make the Cardinals pass rush a lot better. They're going to get their money's worth out of Josh Sweat.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Does his joining solve one of the major problems Arizona has?
Oh, huge.
It helps out their secondary a lot because actually now they can get to the quarterback and they don't have to cover for as long. So
exactly.
That's one of the main issues they had was they didn't get consistent pass rush. It leaves your secondary exposed. So he's going to help that out. People are going to pay attention to where he is. If they're creative, they can move him around the front, create different matchups with him. And this should not be the only addition to their pass rush. They should be looking in the draft and looking at some rotational pieces as well. If they do that, Arizona's defense will improve immensely.
All right, Mark, what are your thoughts?
I'm happy for him. I mean, you know, we lose a player, but I mean, helped us get a ring. He did his time here. There's no way in hell we could afford all our players that was on the last of the contracts.
Right.
I'm not one of them delusional fans like, yo, we need to sign. You can't do it. So we knew we was going to lose him and, you know, Williams later on. And, I mean, you know it. He's going up there with a former Eagles with Gannon. So, and Gannon, you know, Sweat has never been a big sack dude. But you see what he can do with the right coaching. Look, man, sad to see him go, but I'm happy for him. Thank you for the ring, bro. I mean, I don't have a ring, you know, like Jeff and shit, but you know what I'm saying? But
None of us have it.
But at the same time, like, how can you not be happy for him? Like,
right.
How can you not be happy for him? I'm happy. And we got somebody to take a spot anyway, so I'm good. So eat on that, Greg.
Nah, I think this was a good move for the Cardinals. I feel like we've been down this road before with the Cardinals already. I feel like it wasn't too long ago that they signed somebody else from Philly to help supplement their roster. I can't think of their name right now.
San Fran.
Can't think of their name right now, but Arizona, Josh Sweat. I like the contract. It wasn't anything crazy. It addressed one of their biggest needs was the pass rush, like Jeff talked about. Now, obviously, he's only one guy outside of the rest of the D line that they need to get shored up, taken care of. But I'll be honest, they have a much bigger problem, which is the offensive line. Because I promise you, if Kyler Murray has to go through another year where he's running like a chicken with his head cut off, I don't think he's going to be playing for much longer. I ain't going to lie. Like, he got to have somebody. I know they got Paris Johnson over there, but outside of them, it's like him, and then there's like no one else. And it's like, I don't know what it is about Arizona. It's like they're anemic or they're allergic to taking care of the offensive line. It's like, that's just not what they do. I don't know why, because they need someone to protect their quarterback. but that's just something that they just don't do often. So I'm glad they took care of one side of the ball on the D line. Now I just kind of hope it translates to the offensive line, because they don't, they ain't going nowhere. So,
well, that may not happen. But let's move to the Texans. I think this is one of the more surprising ones. Laramie Tunsil joins the Commanders, and I think a lot of people were confused because the Texans were the strongest with their defense and everybody else, and now you just get rid of your 5-time Pro Bowler. It just feels uncertain. I don't know. Commanders are getting a great addition, so I'll run it back to Thomas for you to comment on why you think this would happen. How does this help the Commanders? Let's put it that way.
Well, I think it helps the Commanders immensely. I mean, you saw the way the season ended last year. I mean, they got to the NFC Championship game, but we all knew what their biggest flaw was, which was the offensive line. And if you had a pass rush that was dominant enough and could just pressure Jaden Daniels, that's all you need to do to affect what they were going to do on offense. Now, of course, because it's Jaden Daniels, you're going to put up points. But the offensive line was an issue, and that was what we were figuring out, if that's what they were going to target and address in the offseason. And they did exactly that. And I love this one. This comment right here makes a lot of sense, because that is what I was thinking about more so than anything else. Mm-hmm. Like, I was like, the Commanders got a great pickup. Then I'm like, wait, Laramie Tunsil, who did he play for? Oh, the Houston Texans? You mean the offensive line that couldn't protect CJ Stroud to save his life? That offensive line? You mean offensive line that Laramie Tunsil was the best thing going for them on that offensive line? That Laramie Tunsil you traded for nothing?
To nothing.
So
that Laramie...
I'm like, whoa, wait. Is this like a contract thing that I don't know about? Is there something behind the weeds that hasn't been brought up yet? I don't know what it is. But when I saw the trade initially, I was like, okay, good for Commanders. Good for them. They addressed one of their needs, which was offensive linemen. Texans, what the hell is going on? Tunsil? Really? Your best guy. Not even you. I mean, shoot, you could have done us a favor and traded Kenyon Green. God. You could have. You chose not to.
Kenyon Green, yeah.
But they ended up trading him to. They ended up trading Kenyon Green, all right, just to the wrong team and for a wrong player. Okay, so they did everybody else a favor, except for themselves. So I don't understand. I don't understand. I didn't understand that move for the Texans at all.
My only, in looking at their signings. Mm-hmm. They did sign Laken Tomlinson so far. And I say so far because the official start to free agency isn't until tomorrow. But so far, that's the only thing they've done on the offensive line besides trade away guys. I have a feeling they're going to sign a couple of veteran guys, but it's mostly going to be the draft. They're going to get younger and cheaper through the draft. And I think we see this with a lot of teams. Some teams will make a couple of big splashes. Some teams will go heavy with it if they have a lot of cap space and still utilize the draft. I think what they're doing is they're getting rid of the older talent that's probably very heavy on the salary cap. They're going to trust some of the younger guys with a couple of veterans mixed in. They're going to go that route. They may have a guy on the roster that can hold up for a year or two at left tackle while they get their next left tackle ready. So that's kind of, I think, what I'm seeing out of that front office is they're kind of doing that kind of one as a cap move to hold up for other things that they're going to need. But the main thing is eventually you got to pay CJ Stroud, right? He's been there a couple of years now. He's made the playoffs twice. He's going to demand a contract when it comes time, and you'd rather do that before he gets to the fifth-year option. You don't want to wait till he gets to the fifth-year option to extend him. You kind of want to do it before. This way, when he gets to that fifth year, as we see quarterback salaries keep going up and up and up, this could be $10 to $20 million more to get him at the end of his deal. So when you're starting to set up for all of that, you kind of got to shed some stuff early, get rid of that bonus money that's on those contracts you're getting rid of, get that off your cap too, because bonuses always hit the year after right? So you trade Tunsil now, you'll get some prorated stuff on his cap this year, but there's going to be some stuff next year that he would have been due for this year as well. So that's going to be one of those things you look at when you see all these deals. If they're shedding cap room, it's usually for something coming down the road.
We're going to need a contract show where you guys break down all of these things so that we can learn more in depth. Because I feel like I get the surface, but I don't know the other side. I'm curious. I'm going to ask a follow-up here. After CJ's last season, I mean, Tunsil was a huge addition, which this is following up my question. Are you going to pay CJ top dollar? Was it worth it to lose Tunsil to make that money work?
If he makes the playoffs again, yeah, CJ Stroud he's going to get money. That's just the QB market, what it is. Everybody gets all upset when a quarterback makes so much money. I don't worry about their average per year, guys, because the salary cap keeps rising anyway.
Yep.
I mean, we're up to $279.2 million this year.
Yep.
CJ Stroud can take $50 million or 55, like Burrow and Allen and all these other guys have. That's fine. You have enough of a salary cap that keeps rising to pay the other players. And it's Blake Fisher, the former Notre Dame guy, who's going to be playing left tackle for the Texans.
Okay. Jeff, I don't think there should be a conversation about.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Thomas.
My bad. I just want to get this out real fast. I don't think there's a conversation about CJ Stroud. Last year was literally the example of if you don't have an offensive line in front of him, that is how some of the games are going to go with CJ Stroud, where he's going to try to play his heart out, but because of the pressure that he has to deal with, he's going to make some errant throws. He's going to make some interceptions because of that. But that's not because of his judgment and because of how he plays. So I think CJ Stroud getting his money, I don't even think that's a question, to be honest with you. Well, I do have a concern about who his OC is going to be. Because if his offensive coordinator is going to be getting in his way, and yes, there are some offensive coordinators in this league that find a way, some way, somehow, to get in these quarterbacks' way of performing in the way they're supposed to, then that'll be a problem. Then you have to ask yourself, was it CJ or was it the OC? Do you need to fire the OC already? This is going to be 3 OCs in 4 years for CJ. You start getting to those type of conversations. So this year will be very pivotal, not necessarily for CJ and how he performs, but more so of how well he performs. Because I feel like in his division, he's going to get into the playoffs. He might end up winning the division by default. The question is with him winning that division, is that going to be good enough? Which, I'm going to be honest with you, it was just 3 years ago where the Houston Texans were the worst team in the NFL, and it wasn't remotely close, and they didn't have a quarterback, and they had the old Deshaun Watson thing happening, and all that good fun stuff. So to go from that to you actually being relevant and actually finding a way to win the division year in and year out, I think you should be grateful, Texans organization. I'm just saying. So as far as him getting a contract, him getting $50 million, whatever the number is, give it to him. Give it to him.
Plus, you may find $50 million in a couple of years is going to be cheap compared to the 60 and 70 some of these guys are going to command in a couple of years, but especially the guys that are at the top of their game. So it's one of those things. Remember, 50 was unheard of just 2 years ago when Mahomes got it. Oh, $50 million. Who's worth $50 million? Well, maybe just Pat Mahomes. Now you see Dak Prescott's in that range. You see Jalen Hurts is up in that range, and there's others. Right, so we're not done. I think didn't Josh Allen sign for around that much?
$55 million.
Yeah, so that's the new going rate is going to be $50 million and up. Unfortunately, this is the NFL. This is what free agency is about. The prices don't really go down, and when they do, it's usually because they devalue a position, like they did the running backs. They made a comeback in a year. Right, so you're going to see this. Where salaries start go up. If it's a position of weight like quarterback, it doesn't go down. It always stays high.
Yeah. And don't forget, CJ Stroud had Diggs go down, Dell go down, and his receivers were absolutely horrifying at the end of the season. His offensive line could not stop the pass rush. There's your problem. I mean, that was the problem for the Houston Texans.
Exactly. So I don't even think it's a conversation for CJ Stroud's concerned. Because you think about all these other guys that's looking for a deal. I know nobody's talking about it much now because of free agency, but Brock Purdy hasn't been paid yet. Mm-hmm. And there's all these different factors and parameters on whether he's deserved to get this much and that much. Well, you got to factor in, the team that he's playing for and his roster, and is he worth the money, and all this other stuff. And that's what Brock Purdy, who, by the way, at this point last year was in a Super Bowl going up against Patrick Mahomes. So, I think that is. I know this is kind of weird to ask, but I'll ask it anyway. Just okay. In a mind of a GM, I want y'all to be a GM for a second. What, in y'all's opinion, is the parameters that your quarterback needs to meet for him to get a big payday, like $50 million or higher? What is it that needs to be done on his behalf for him to be in that conversation, in y'all opinion?
Do I go first, Greg, or should I go first?
You go first, Jeff.
Okay. All right. So for me, if I'm a GM and I have a quarterback that's asking for top tier money, you have to be a guy that, one, shows me that you can perform in all facets of the game, right? Mm-hmm. Clutch situations, the situations where I need you to be conservative. You're managing the offense. You're a leader in that locker room. You're a leader in the franchise. Okay, I can count on you in every situation that we need you to be counted on. Do you have to be perfect in every situation? No. But I do need to be able to say, we need a touchdown at the end of the game. You're the guy that's going to lead us down the field. We can't have you out there, if you're wide receiver one out, that you go out there and you mail it in saying, I got nobody to throw to. No, you elevate number 2 to number 1. Okay, yep. You elevate number 3 to number 2. You do not let that become your excuse why you cannot perform. So if I'm going to pay you that money, you have to do the things that number 1 quarterbacks do. And that's one, like I said, being capable in all facets of the game. When it's late in the game and we're trying to hold off another team, we have the lead. Okay, making the smart throw. Sometimes it's just getting the first down and moving the chains. Not trying to hit the big play. Not trying to hold on to it too long. Not taking a sack when you don't need to take a sack. Why did I think the Falcons made a mistake when they paid Matthew
Cousins?
No, not Cousins. I'm talking about before that. Okay.
Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan. Okay. Yep. Why did I think they made a mistake? Look at the Super Bowl against New England. They had a chance to close that out. He made a mistake on that final drive. They left time for New England, right? He could have taken the sack. He threw the ball away and stopped the clock. That's a clutch moment where you want your top-tier quarterback to make the smart decision. He didn't do that, okay? And that's something that kind of dogged him throughout his career. So when you make those guys the highest-paid guys and they constantly fail you in certain situations, you have to hold them accountable just like they have to hold you accountable. If you're not doing enough to help this guy win and he says, I want to be your franchise quarterback, but I don't think you're doing everything to help me be successful as your franchise quarterback, I may want to leave, then you can't blame him for that, right? Because plain and simple, you may as a GM not be doing enough to help them succeed either. So if they're going to hold you accountable, you sure enough better hold them accountable if they want that top dollar. So that's what it has to be. They have to do everything well to get that top dollar. Otherwise, it's a negotiation. You don't do this well, I got to supplement it by bringing somebody else in there to help you. Then that brings you down in a little bit of value. Maybe you're a tier 2 guy. So instead of 55 mil, maybe you're a 48 million kind of guy. So,
or you're Sam Darnold, who's at 33 and a half.
Yeah.
You're Justin Fields, who's now getting a $20 million deal. That's
Absolutely.
The difference. That's the difference.
Absolutely.
Dak Prescott had 60 million, but that's because Jerry and Steven are too stupid to understand when to actually do a contract. They don't, those guys are clowns. But again, that's the difference. There's only 3 Super Bowl winning quarterbacks in this league: Matthew Stafford, Jalen Hurts, and Patrick Mahomes. There's only 3 of them.
Well, and you talked about Dak Prescott. There's two factors in that. One, okay, his agent purposely held up to the last bit. Todd France is smart. Number two, right, the Joneses can gamble. Okay, they like to think that they can hold off and think that you've given me enough ammunition to come back and lowball you later. He didn't do that, so there was nothing to lowball him with. Okay,
and of course they also did what I mentioned earlier, Thomas. They went out to the media and were criticizing Dak Prescott. No, you don't do that BS. You don't do that. And bang, Prescott nailed him for $60 million a year.
Yeah,
$60 million.
Okay. So, just so I'm hearing everybody correctly, we need to be at the damn near. We need to be a top 5 QB in some way, shape, or form on most instances throughout a game. Whatever I need you to do, I need you to perform it.
Yep.
I need there to be consistency involved. Correct? Did I have that in there as well, Jeff? Okay.
Yep.
Wow. Am I tripping, or did you mention playoff success at all?
No.
Well,
no.
I'm going to say that different from everybody else. There's a lot of people that say playoff success in court. To me, and I've played the game, I've coached the game. In football, playoff success is about the team. It ain't about the individual.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and we put it all on quarterback. You look at that guy we just talked about that got $60 million in Dak Prescott. Everybody beats him up for all of the playoff losses. That team has failed him plenty of times in the playoffs. At times he's played well in the playoffs, well enough to win, and they failed him plenty of times. Tony Romo, that team failed him plenty of times. They beat him up for a lot of stuff, but guess what? There's times when Tony Romo performed and they failed him plenty of times. Right?
2016.
So, okay. While Tom Brady has done it all, guess what? There were times at the end of those games in New England where the New England defense shut the door on Peyton Manning. Okay. So you can talk about it. At the end of the day, team success always matters. Why did the Giants beat the Patriots twice? Because team success matters. Manning was not better than Brady, but guess what? His team was better than Brady's team on those 2 Sundays. So when it comes to playoff success, it comes down to the team. We've seen lesser quarterbacks win Super Bowls. Doesn't mean that they're great quarterbacks at all. Doesn't mean that they're top tier quarterbacks, but because they were on teams that were playing their best when it came down to it at that time of the year, they went on to win it all. Right. So playoff success to me is about the team. I've seen great quarterbacks, no matter how well they played, still lose. Right. I've seen bad quarterbacks go on and play great because their team is playing great in the playoffs.
Which is why I never said a word about Jalen Hurts getting the contract that he got. He deserved the money that he got, even without being in the Super Bowl and losing that game. He deserved the money that the man was being paid because he is the leader of that franchise. He leads that team.
Okay. Interesting. Wow. Okay, so playoff success is a team stat.
Yes.
Most of situations that you are asked to do, you have to be at the cream of the top when it comes to that regard.
You have to be reliable,
and that's pretty much it.
Reliable.
And you have to be available. Okay.
Yes.
So you have to be consistent. You have to be available, and then when the situation calls for it, you need to be performing at your best.
Well, exactly, which is why Dak Prescott also makes $60 million because you look at his record against the Eagles, against the Giants, and against the Commanders. His record is damn good in his division. That's the bottom line. So in the regular season, he's done very well. But their team failure has always been in the playoffs. Their team failure.
Okay. Wow. That's interesting.
I think also if you look at the market of quarterbacks right now, Dak got paid because who was the better option, right? Who are the Cowboys going to turn to and say, you are going to be the new leader of America's team, the biggest franchise in the NFL, right? And I didn't agree at the beginning just because of said playoff success and failures. But if you look and think, what are all the backup QBs of every team, right? They don't have any success as starters. And so paying Dak and paying players like Kirk Cousins when it happened was just because of scarcity, right? There's not that many top 12, top 20 guys that you can turn around and get you at least some type of winning season. So I think that also factors in.
Which is why the UFL needs to be used by the NFL teams. They need to send these young quarterbacks to the UFL, and they need to send their young offensive linemen to the UFL to understand how the professional game is far different than a college game is. And that's something that I really think the NFL needs to do. You agree with me there, Jeff?
Absolutely. Listen, I've always pushed for a developmental league.
Yep.
Whether I was playing, whether I was coaching, or just as a fan.
Right.
Listen, it's just too few opportunities, and the way the NFL is now, there's very little learning curve. Right? Everybody wants microwave popcorn success. We want it in 5 minutes. You got to be ready to go. We're throwing rookie tackles out there. We were playing in spread offenses in college where they're not being built up fundamentally. Why? Because in college, they're being rushed onto the field to play and win, not to play and develop, play and win. So at every level now, it's starting now at the high school level, somebody who coaches at the high school level, it's about winning. Coaches are doing anything and everything, and they're stealing from other programs to win. Colleges, stealing from other programs to win. Okay, they're not even going to the high schools anymore. They're going right to the transfer portal. Okay, so everybody's doing it, everything they do to win. Nobody's thinking about development. Okay, so having a developmental league is beneficial to the NFL, right? Just like it's beneficial for Major League Baseball to have minor league baseball to develop their young guys. The NFL needs that because training camp and practice squad are not it. Practice squad, when you're hurt during the season, you're beat up, where are you pulling from? Your practice squad. Okay, and that's where you're going to go first before you go to free agency. It takes weeks for a free agent to come in and get up to speed. Your practice squad guy's been there from training camp, right? So if you're developing guys in another league in the spring, they can come in the summer in training camp and compete. If you're going to sit there and set them off and Lord knows what they're doing when they're not in your camp and think that they're going to come back the next year developed, that's not how it works. You got to play football in order to develop. So having a developmental league is definitely a beneficial tool. They tried to do it with NFL Europe. They didn't want to spend money to do it. They'd rather somebody else spend the money. UFL is just that. They're using their own money. They're finding their own way to fund themselves. Perfect chance to say, hey, guys, you know what? We'll if you want to give us a certain rule where we can work with the NFLPA to send guys over like we used to allocate guys to NFL Europe. Develop, then let's do that. We was talking about the Kirk Cousins, the Kurt Warners, the John Kitners, and all of those guys that went to NFL Europe and went on to be stars in the NFL. Well, do the same thing with UFL.
And the other thing that I would change, of course, is having a 4-3 defense out on the field and a fullback in the backfields. I don't want this run and gun BS that I see week after week in the NFL. I want traditional football. Thank you.
That's his closing line.
Well said.
Yes.
What a mic drop moment. Okay.
All right, everyone.
I just wanted my question answered. That was interesting.
No, it was great. It was great. I was saying we have had a lot of conversations that just shows we all miss football because we're talking about it in such an extensive way. But I want to thank everyone for tuning in for our fantastic free agency show. My phone is blowing up that so many things have happened since we've been on here. So we'll have to do a follow-up once everything concludes. Mark is gone, but of course, thanks Greg, Jeff, and Thomas. This has been fun. It feels good to talk football again. And just like you saw earlier, my brain wasn't working. So now I feel like I'm back in.
If you want more football, tomorrow night, Jeff, Bill, and I on Team NBS Draft Central, and we will each have our own first-round mock draft with no trades. It's going to be a very interesting case. Joe, if you're still around, you will love my pick for the Cowboys, Joe. You will love my pick for the Dallas Cowboys. What does that tell you?
He's going to guess you.
Oh, boy.
And I believe we are back this weekend with more, free agency talk, aren't we?
On Sunday
night. So,
okay, you heard it here. I didn't even know.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time.
And then we have Off the Dome on Friday. I will keep y'all posted on the time. I'm trying to play around with the time a little bit because I know y'all probably either get tired of hearing my voice or I'm picking the wrong time of day for you to hear my voice. So I'm trying to teeter and play around with the time as far as that's being concerned. But Off the Dome will be Friday, every Friday. And you'll probably see me go off about Myles Garrett again or something like that. Who knows? We'll see. Hopefully I'll be in a much better temperament. But yeah, I'll see you Friday.
All right, we've got Draft Central tomorrow, Off the Dome Friday, free agency wrap-up Sunday. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Team NBS Media. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow us on all social platforms. We'll be here all week, every week, under 50 days to the draft, and we will see you then. Have a great rest of your evening, and thanks for tuning in.